The year is 1983. A boy falls off his bike, runs into his shed, and vanishes into thin air. For 4 seasons, we were told Will Byers was just a victim, a survivor, the zombie boy who lived. But what if I told you that Will's abduction was not a mistake, and it was not just bad luck? What if Vecna, the master puppeteer of the Upside Down, spent decades building a perfect nightmare, only to accidentally hand the keys to the one person capable of burning it all down? In Season 5, the game has changed. The Duffers have finally confirmed what we have suspected since the flickering lights of Season 1. Will Byers has powers, but they are not like Eleven's. They are darker, more ancient, and they come directly from the same place Vecna received his powers. Today, we are breaking down the Sorcerer twist, the hive-mind connection, and the terrifying reality that Henry Creel did not just kidnap Will, he created his own defeat. Let us talk about the moment that broke Netflix and the internet. Season 5, Episode 4, Chapter 4, Sorcerer. For years, Will felt that tingle on the back of his neck. He felt the cold. He felt the presence. But in the final moments of Volume 1, we saw him do the impossible. As Demogorgons closed in on Mike, Lucas, and Robin, Will did not run. He did not hide. Instead, his eyes went white, the same milky, terrifying white we see when Vecna is in a trance. And then he snapped their limbs. This is not just telekinesis. If you look closely at the choreography of that scene, Will is not pushing the monsters away like Eleven does. He is puppeteering them. He is reaching into the hive mind, grabbing the controls, and overriding Vecna's commands. The Duffer brothers confirmed in a recent interview with Variety that Will technically does not have biological powers like the lab kids. He does not have a number on his wrist. Instead, he has something much more dangerous: channeling. Think of Vecna as a radio station. He is constantly broadcasting a signal of death and control to every Demogorgon, Vine, and Shadow in the Upside Down. Because Will was flayed in Season 2 and lived with a literal piece of the Mind Flayer inside him for a year, he is the only human on Earth tuned into that exact frequency. He is not just a receiver anymore, he is a hacker. But why can he do this now? Why not in Season 3 or Season 4? The answer lies in his identity. In Season 5, we see Will finally start to accept himself, his feelings for Mike, his otherness, and his trauma. The Duffers have stated that as Will stops being afraid of who he is, he stops being afraid of the connection. Fear was the wall. Once that wall crumbled, the power did not just leak through. It flooded. The Dungeon Master versus the Sorcerer. To understand how Vecna screwed up, we have to go back to the very beginning, November 6th, 1983. The Upside Down is frozen on that date. Not the day Henry Creel was banished in 1979. Not the day 11 opened the Mother Gate. Specifically, the day Will Byers was taken. There is a massive theory circulating and supported by Season 5 environmental clues that Will Byers did not just enter the Upside Down, he helped shape it. When Henry Creel arrived in Dimension X, it was a wasteland of floating rocks and yellow clouds. It was not a dark version of Hawkins. It was alien. But when Will was taken, his imagination, the mind of a boy obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons, collided with the shadow particles. Vecna needed a blueprint to invade our world. He found it in Will's head. The Demogorgon, the Mind Flayer, and the sprawling library of Hawkins are all twisted reflections of Will's psyche. This brings us to the True One theory. Fans have been debating the numbers for years. If 11 is 11 and Kaylee is 8, who is the one? While Vecna is technically 001, the narrative logic suggests that Will is the real one. Brenner numbered his subjects based on their birth. Vecna numbered his system based on integration. Will was the first human successfully integrated into the hive mind without being consumed by it. He is the original tether. By taking Will, Vecna thought he was creating a bridge. He did not realize he was creating a backdoor. In Season 5, Volume 1, we see Will using now memories. But it is no longer a one-way street. He can see through the eyes of the possessed. He saw through the eyes of the boy Derek as he was being tormented. He saw through the eyes of Holly Wheeler when she was on the playground. He can feel the physical location of the heart of the hive mind. Vecna is essentially screen sharing his entire invasion with the one person who knows how to play the game better than he does. The psychological mirror, the Lonnie Factor. Here is where things get really deep and a bit dark. Why did Vecna choose Will in the first place? Was it really just wrong place, wrong time? Season 5 reveals a shocking parallel between Henry Creel and Will Byers. Both were sensitive boys. Both were outcasts. Both were misunderstood by their fathers. There is a viral theory suggesting Lonnie Byers, Will's abusive deadbeat dad, actually knew Henry Creel. Flashbacks in Season 5 hint that Lonnie and Henry attended school around the same time, and Lonnie's brand of toxic masculinity was exactly the kind of human rot Henry came to despise. When Vecna looked into Hawkins to find his first victim, he did not just look for a body. He looked for a mirror. He saw Will, a boy his father called queer and sensitive, just as Henry was called broken by his father. Vecna thought he could turn Will into a mini version of himself, a new Vecna. He wanted to cultivate Will's trauma and turn it into hate. But Vecna made one fatal mistake. He underestimated the power of the party. Henry Creel grew up in isolation. He killed his family. He went into the void alone. Will Byers had Joyce. He had Jonathan. He had Mike, Dustin, and Lucas. Will's hidden power is not just the ability to snap Demogorgon necks. It is the ability to endure the hive mind without losing his humanity. Because Will stayed good, the connection that was supposed to be Vecna's greatest weapon has become a literal cancer inside Vecna's system. Will is the infection in the Upside Down. He is the piece of Hawkins that Vecna can't digest. And now that infection is spreading. Let's look closer at the actual mechanics of the Sorcerer class. Will plays in Dungeons & Dragons. In the game, a wizard learns spells through study, but a sorcerer's power is innate. It is in their blood. This is exactly how the show differentiates Eleven and Will. Eleven was trained in a lab. She had to learn how to focus, how to push, and how to harness her anger. Will's power is different. It is a biological fusion with the Upside Down itself. Think back to the scene where he says he likes it cold. That was not just the Mind Flayer talking. It was Will's body acclimating to a different reality. By the time we reach the final confrontation, Will is not just resisting Vecna's influence. He is actively stealing his resources. When Vecna reaches out to psychically attack the group, he finds that the shadow particles are not responding to his commands anymore. They are responding to Will. This leads to the question of the true king of the Upside Down. If the Mind Flayer is the brain and Vecna is the soul, then Will is the heart, and the heart can override the brain. We have seen Will struggle with his connection for years, but in Season 5, that struggle turns into a siege. Every time Will feels that chill on his neck, he is not just sensing Vecna. He is pinging Vecna's location. He is a living radar, and for the first time, Vecna is the one who is hunted. This is the ultimate irony of Henry Creel's plan. He wanted to be a god. He wanted to rebuild the world in his image. But by reaching out and grabbing Will Byers, he grabbed the one thing in the universe that could actually hold a mirror up to his face. He did not just find a victim. He found his successor, and that successor chose his friends over power. The endgame, the eye, and the sacrifice. So how does this end? If Will can channel Vecna's powers, does that mean he has to die for Vecna to die? There is heavy foreshadowing in Season 2 that many missed. Mr. Clark's lesson on Phineas Gage, the man who had an iron rod blown through his head and who survived, but whose personality was changed forever. Throughout Season 5, the cinematography has been weirdly specific. Will is constantly framed with one eye obscured by door frames, shadows, and even by the way he hides his face. In Dungeons & Dragons lore, there is an artifact called the Eye of Vecna. To use it, you must pluck out your own eye and replace it with the artifact. It gives you the power to see what Vecna sees and eventually destroy him. Is the show setting up a Buffy moment where Will has to lose an eye to fully take control of the hive mind? The Duffers have promised a bittersweet ending. Some fans believe Will have to pull a Donnie Darko. Because the Upside Down is anchored to the moment he was taken, Will might realize that the only way to close the gates forever is to go back to 1983 and ensure he never survives. But there is a more hopeful theory, the Dungeon Master ending. If Will can control the hive mind, he does not need to destroy the Upside Down. He needs to reclaim it. He could effectively evict Vecna from the psychic network and become the new, benevolent ruler of that dimension. He would be the one to freeze it back into a peaceful void, finally cutting the cord to Hawkins. However, the cost is clear. To save Hawkins, Will might have to stay behind. He started the series in the Upside Down, and he might have to end it there, this time as a king, not a prisoner. The fifth chime. Will is rewriting the Upside Down. We need to look at the deeper evidence from the Season 5 set photos. There is a specific shot of Will standing in front of Castle Byers in the Upside Down, but it is not destroyed like it was in Season 2. It is glowing. It is being rebuilt. This supports the theory that Will is rewriting the code of the Upside Down in real time. Remember the painting Will gave to Mike, the one with the dragon? In D&D, dragons are the ultimate power, but the painting showed the party fighting together. Will saw himself as the one with the shield, but Mike called him the Heart. This was not just a sweet moment, it was a tactical breakdown of how the final fight plays out. While 11 is the brute force, the sword, Will is the field commander. He is the one who can see the enemy's moves before they happen. There is also the matter of the clock. The 4 chimes of Vecna's clock signify the 4 gates. But what if there is a 5th chime? A chime for the one gate Vecna did not mean to open, the gate inside Will's mind. In the final teaser, we hear a clock ticking, but it sounds different. It is faster. It is the sound of Will's heartbeat synchronized with the Upside Down. Vecna thought he was the architect. He thought he was the one who pulled the strings. But he forgot that a puppet can eventually learn to pull back. And when Will Byers pulls back, the whole world of the Upside Down comes crashing down on its creator. Everything comes back to that first night in the shed. Will loaded the gun, but he did not fire it. In Season 5, he finally fires. But he is not shooting bullets. He is firing the collective trauma of every victim Vecna ever took. He is the voice for the voiceless, and the power he wields is the power of everyone Henry Creel tried to erase. That is why Will is the only one who can truly end this. Not because he is the strongest, but because he is the one who remembers what it is like to be lost in the dark, and he has finally found his way out. Will Byers was never the victim of Stranger Things. He was the protagonist we were just waiting to see wake up. Vecna spent 30 years planning his revenge, but in his arrogance, he chose a boy who was stronger than him. He gave Will the power, the vision, and the connection needed to dismantle the hive mind from the inside out. Henry Creel wanted to be a predator, but he accidentally invited a sorcerer into his home. And in the final battle, Will the Wise is not just throwing fireballs, he is taking back his life. But what do you think? Is Will going to survive the series, or is his connection to Vecna a death sentence? And do you think the Lonnie and Henry theory holds water? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we are covering every single leak and theory leading up to the Volume 2 finale. Stay strange, Hawkins.